Hey there guys and girls, Manthis here and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about flipping some BOEs. This is one of my favourite things to do whenever we get a new raid come out. This could either be the very first raid of the expansion or the very last one of the expansion. It makes no difference to us. There's always a new influx of BOEs that we can buy up and we can sell them to the people that really want them, and obviously we can take a nice little transaction fee along the way. So we've had a whole bunch of BOEs in the game already. We've probably had a big list of them so far, but there's a whole bunch new ones with the new raid, and so what we want to be able to do is fish those out and work out exactly which ones they are so we don't get them muddied up with the rest of them. So what I've done is, like I usually do, is I've made a Trade School Master group, and I'll leave the paste bin link for this down below. So if you guys want to use this yourself, feel free. Use the link in the description down below. What it contains is every single world BOE, and I've put a separate group for the Castle Nathria drops as well. Now there is a slight crossover with some of them. Some of them that are dropping in Castle Nathria also drop out in the main world, so just be aware of that. But mostly they are almost all unique new items within the raid. If you want to import this very quickly, it's very simple to do. You open Trade School Master, you go to your group section, and you just click the import group. In the paste bin, which I'll link down below, you just copy the code in full and paste it in here and hit enter, and then that group will appear for you. It's real simple, real easy. But today I want to give you a few tips, because it's when it comes to flipping BOEs, it does come with a little bit of risk, a fair amount of risk in fact, and it's something that you have to fail a few times at to get good at. So my first tip when it comes to flipping BOEs is quite simple. Don't spend all of your gold. Quite literally, don't spend all of your gold. Realistically, you'd want to be in a position where you've got at least 500,000 gold in your bags before you really start to attempt this. Simply because the items you're going to be buying are arguably some of the most expensive items that will be listed on the auction house. Now of course you want to make some profit in there as well. You basically don't want to spend any more gold than you're willing to lose. That's the way I look at it. Consider it like a casino. If you walk into a casino with $100 in your back pocket, you generally, if you're a logical person, don't expect to leave with more than $100 in your pocket. You basically expect to leave with nothing, but you expect to have had fun whilst you're in there, right? When you get good with flipping BOEs though, it's like walking into a casino with $100 and walking out again with 500. It's a really good feeling when you master it, and yeah, I'm hoping the few tips I can give you today will help you with that. So let's do the first thing that we should do and run a shopping scan. If you import these groups, you can just use the default shopping operation. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, and it'll do its thing. It will populate its list. So let's give it a second for this to load. Now, I selected both groups, the main BOE group and all the Castle Nathria stuff as well. You'll be able to, at least if you're doing this quickly, you'll be able to see the new stuff, because it'll all be item level 200 or maybe even 213 if people on your realm have been running through the heroics. And for the most part, it won't show a percentage here because it's unlikely to have populated the data through TSM. But in the future, this will all change. Now, if you're not familiar with Trade School Master, a lot of this, that's a lot of information. You're like, oh my god, what do I do with this? What's a good deal? What's not a good deal? Well, let's just talk about a couple of key things. This column on the right hand side is basically the market valuation. A lot of people look at this and go, wow, this is really cheap, that must be a bargain. I genuinely ignore this column completely, almost pretend it's not there. What I tend to look at is this one here. This is the one that I focus on, and this is where you can really start to spot where there are some good deals. This number in the brackets is telling you how many of a certain item there is on your server already, how many is being listed. And when it comes to BOEs, we want to try and find an opportunity where there's very little availability of an item. And one that jumps out to me straight away is this one. This one looks really juicy to me for one simple reason. There is only one on the auction house. I swear this wasn't planned, but this is a really good thing for anybody looking to flip BOEs. If they can find an item where there is literally only that one, and it's a reasonable price, there's a great opportunity here for you. So let's take a look at this in more detail. It's item level 190. What is it? One-handed mace. Cool. Excellent. Fine. It's being listed for 85,000 gold. Now I know one of the world drop BOEs, 85,000 gold, at least on my realm, is kind of pricey. But it is a weapon. Weapons always hold a little bit more value intrinsically. This is something I've just learned from playing the game for many years. Weapons always tend to have a lot more potential value in them. It's the only one, and it's reasonably priced. In my eyes, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me to buy this one. So totally, I wasn't actually planning on buying a BOE for the purpose of recording this video, but hey, we'll do it. Excellent, 85,000 gold well spent. That now means I have the only one of those items that is going to be listed on the auction house. This is great news. Let's grab it from the mailbox. Let's open it out. Let's go back into TSM. Let's go to auctioning. Now you can either go to auctioning, select the group and just hit post scan. And for the most part, because we're the only one that is going to be listing it, check the buyout price, but even the default TSM stuff is gonna do you a solid here. We bought it for 85,000 gold. TSM is suggesting we price it on the auction house for 155,000 gold. In my opinion, that's pretty reasonable. It'll almost double our money if we do sell it. That's a pretty good price. We're gonna go post. I genuinely had no plans of actually doing this live for the video. I was just going to talk about how it works, but in fairness, hey, great, excellent. Let's go back to the group then. One thing I really wanted to talk about is how do you know what is a good deal, and what information do you need to know to assess what is a good deal and what is not a good deal. With most things, I generally suggest that you want to know both sides of the market. And what I mean about both sides of the market is you want to know the kind of players that are selling the items, and you want to know the type of players that are likely to buy the items. You, in this scenario, you're just the middleman. You're the broker in the middle that's saying, right, you've got something you want to sell, and I know there's a guy that wants to buy it. That's the scenario that we want. So in the case of BOEs, who is selling these items? Well, the people that are selling them usually are, especially in the case of people who are getting the raid BOEs, for the most part, the people that are going to be selling them are going to be people that have been running the raid and it's just dropped for them. It was totally random. They did nothing more than just be there playing the game. They got a BOE. Excellent. What happens then? They go to the auction house. They throw it on the auction house for a price that they think is fair. They've probably got very little sort of goblinry knowledge on this sort of things. And this is why you can snag a few good deals, especially when you see the only one being listed. Because if there's none on the auction house, that player that has very little knowledge about the value of them is going to just pick a number off the top of their head that they're happy with. Now, the number that they're happy with may be considerably less than what somebody who's looking for that item is actually willing to pay. And that's why we want to get in there quickly, and that's when we can start to see the good buys. The other side of that, so we understand who's going to be actually selling these items. It's going to be people that just get them to drop. Maybe you're actively farming for them. Even if you're actively farming them, maybe you're doing a 2x4 group to try and specifically kill as many things as possible to increase your chances of getting loot. Even those people, they can't pick which one drops for them. It's random for them. And so they're quite simply just going to try and sell it as quick as they possibly can. And then a lot of times they'll just undercut. They'll even heavily undercut, which we'll talk about in a minute, just to get that thing sold quickly so they can get back out there and try and farm some more. So we know who's selling it. Who's buying these items though? This is key. You've got to know both sides of this to really understand whether something is a good deal. The people that are buying it, there's a big misconception here. A lot of people consider the people that are buying these super expensive BOEs are the high-end mythic raiders. No, those guys are not buying this. You know why they're not buying this? Because the content that they're killing day in, day out drops better gear than this anyway. There is no way a mythic raider is going to drop 150,000 gold on an item that is probably 20 item levels less than what he gets if he kills the boss anyway. The people that are buying these are going to be people that are in the I want to say the more casual or the item level world, as I call it. The item level world are those people that try to queue up for groups for Mythic Plus, and the only defining feature that they have that shows the leader of that group how good they are is the item level of their gear. The game has become this item level Raider IO sort of meta for a lot of players, and those are the kind of people that actually end up buying most of these BOEs. So they've probably got lower gear than this. This is probably a substantial upgrade to them, a heavy upgrade to them. They're doing their absolute best to try and get into those pug groups, whether it be a pug raid or a pug mythic plus group, whatever the case may be, and their item level matters. Item level is king for most people, and these are very shiny carrots on the end of sticks for a lot of those players. So that's really our target market, and equally and ironically, those players tend to actually have quite a bit of gold on average. Simply because they've probably not been doing much over the last few weeks other than doing a bit of herbing, doing a bit of mining, maybe skinning because leather's bonkers right now, and they've been selling their materials, and they've probably got a reasonable amount of gold in their pockets, but they're trying to get into the raid, they're trying to do Mythic Plus, and then all of a sudden they've realised their item level 160 gear is just not cutting it. So they're going to go to the auction house, they're going to buy some BOEs. So there's your two markets. There's the people that are selling it. They can't focus on specifically getting that loot, and they usually want a quick sale. And then you've got the people that are desperate for every single drop of item level they can get their hands on. And this is a perfect match. So if you can sit in the middle, you can find some good deals like that, you'll set yourself in good stead. Now, let's talk about some of the things that happens when you've bought it and when you're trying to sell it again. One of the biggest things you'll come up against is undercutters. Because the type of people that are selling it just want to sell it fast, what often happens is if you list it on the auction house, you'll come back an hour later, you'll check the auction house, and somebody has undercut you by 50,000 gold. You're like, you just want to smash that person in the face at that point. But it's a natural thing for those people to do. They think that undercutting by 50k is going to get them a quick sale. This is where you have two options: compete or wait. Compete is a very risky strategy because those guys farmed it up. It didn't technically cost them anything to get the item in the first place. They were just playing the game and it dropped, and they'd be happy with 10 gold for the goddamn thing. You know what I mean? They just want to get the thing sold, and they'll keep undercutting you until somebody buys it. So competing is quite dangerous, but there is a strategy you can use to this, which I really enjoy doing, and it's doing a little bit of competing until that person undercuts to a point where you are happy to buy it. And this is where you've got to have a reasonable amount of gold and I've got to be willing to take a risk. If you can force them to keep undercutting you to a point where you're happy to buy it, then buy it. You go double or quits, you go all in, you buy it, you buy that second BOE. You know why? Because the amount of them that are going to be able to come into the market is going to be very limited. This is it's kind of a bit of an advanced strategy, and like I said, you've got to have a lot of gold to be able to do it in the first place. But a lot of the time, the way that I make most of my gold with BOEs is not by buying one, it's by buying two or sometimes even three to clear out a market and create a situation just like this. If you get somebody undercutting you heavily, let them undercut you. Let them undercut you. Even go as far as whispering them and just offer them whatever you are happy to pay for. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes they'll whisper you back and go, yeah, sure, I'll take that. You know, trade, done, deal. And then you end up with two legendaries you've got to sell. Now, some people would think that's double the problem, but realistically, it just puts you in a stronger position. If you buy two items for 50k, for example, if you spend 50k on two items, you only need to sell one of them for 100,000 gold, and then you've covered your cost for both of them. That then means that second BOE that you sell, you're then in a really strong position if changes happen. And when I talk about changes, that's one thing I want to focus on when it comes to these specific BOEs. Changes can happen in the game that adjust the value of these things. Right now, we've got item level 200 and item level 213 items dropping from the new raid. Next week, we're going to have item level 187 because LFR Wing 1 is going to open, and we are also going to have item level 226, I want to say it is, for Mythic. this is going to have some effect on the prices of these raid gear right now. So what you really want to focus on is quick sales. If it's 50k under what you think you can get for it, give it a go. Get it back on the auction house, even try and sell it again in trade. There's a few options there for you, but be aware of your surroundings. Understand who's buying it, understand who you're likely to sell it to, and be aware of what's going to happen in the future that may adjust the value of this item. But I'll leave you with that, guys. Take some of this advice, use the groups, do a scan on your server, see what's going on. If you spot any good deals, give it a go. But as I said very early on at the beginning of the video, never invest more than you're willing to lose. Consider it, I don't want to use the word gambling because it's not really gambling, it's just like fake gold in a game, but consider it like a casino. Only spend what you're willing to lose, because there are occasions where you will lose. But when you win, it's really, really rewarding. So give it a go. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any good BOEs you managed to snag up and flip on your server. I'd be really interested to hear. And that one that we bought earlier, make sure you follow me on Twitter. I'll post it out on Twitter when I sell it for exactly how much we sell it for, just as a little bit of visual proof for you guys that this system does work. So then, guys, if you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.